Panther Nation podcast. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. Oh, cut it. Cut right. And I would like to introduce one of the hottest podcasts in Carolina history. Let's go. Yeah. Talk, let's chat. We got time to chop it up. Talking analytics and fantasy draft. You know what's up. Panther Nation representing, cause this is where we talk that. Talk that's so incredible. Make them rewind that talk back. Pause. Talking Panthers football, we discussing it all. On and off the field, you know exactly who to call. You know we the #1 podcast. Competition is non-existent, you need to stop that. Pause. It's an honor to be a Panther fan, pause. At Bank of America, that is where we ball. Coming to the jungle, then you gonna feel the pause. Winning the trophy for the city, it is the cause. Black, white, and blue, we going Carolina strong. And this is the conversation where everyone belongs. Discussing all the numbers and topics, you know we got it. We the hottest podcast, and we poppin', let's go.
QueenCityPodcastNetwork.com.
Yo, what's cracking? It's your boy Rashad, one half of the Panther Nation podcast, and it is the morning huddle. Yes, grab yourself some coffee. Get your minds right. It's Black Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Black Monday, and it is, fam. The Falcons got started early this morning, bro. They got started off the rip, firing Arthur Smith. My man Ron Rivera's out of here. It's crazy. So it's a lot of guys getting fired, getting the can. And for the Panthers specifically, we have moved on from GM Scott Fitterer. Scott Fitterer is now gone, and I tweeted this out a couple of minutes ago. This is the first time in the Tepper era. The first time. Let's really think about this. This is the first time in the David Tepper era where we're going to hire a GM and a head coach at the same time. This is the first time it's going to happen. Like, you got to remember, when David Tepper came in, it was Ron Rivera, Marty Hurney, a GM. They fired Ron Rivera, retained Marty Hurney. Marty Hurney and David Tepper collaborated to hire Matt Rule, right? Matt Rule hangs around. Marty Hurney fired. Okay. Matt Rule and David Tepper helped to bring in Scott Fitterer. Scott Fitterer hangs around. Matt Rule fired. Now, Scott Fitterer collaborates with David Tepper to bring in Frank Reich. You guessed it. Frank Reich fired midseason, and now we're cleaning the slate fully and finally canned Scott Fitterer. And can I be transparent here for a second? Can I be transparent for a second? Can I be transparent for a second? You know what I mean? I really think, Scott Fitterer got the raw deal. You know what I mean? I think Scott Fitterer, he was handcuffed. He was handcuffed a little bit. You know what I mean? When you got David Tepper overstepping, making decisions. Scott Fitterer was just a yes man for all intents and purposes. This is why Scott Fitterer was allowed to hang on so much. This is how he's been around for 3 years, because that's a guy that David Tepper knew was going to do the job or do the deed for him. Pause. You know what I mean? He knew that Scott Fitterer, that was a guy that David Tepper trusts. He trusted him. You know what I mean? And so that was a guy that David Tepper, and I'm sure, listen, I'm going to be honest. I'm sure that David Tepper firing Scott Fitterer was probably one of the hardest fires he had to make. I'm gonna be completely like, getting rid of Frank Reich and all that is cool, but I firmly believe that firing Frank firing Scott Fitterer was probably one of the hardest things for Scott Fitterer to do. I think this was one of the hardest ones he had to. This was the hardest one for him because I really feel like he trusted him, and he was willing to do the bid of David Tepper. If David Tepper wanted something from a transactional standpoint, I feel like Scott Fitterer went out there and did it, and he made it happen. You know what I mean? So I kind of feel bad for Scott. I think he has the ability to be a solid GM. I think that again, he got it's not the right place. I think Scott, and he gets a lot of the blame, like a lot of the bad moves that happen with the trades and all that stuff, man. But listen, when the direction is coming from the top, and David Tepper says, this is what I want to see. At the end of the day, he's just doing what he's told. And I feel like there was some positive moves. There was a lot of negative moves. The drafts, not so much. I get that. And I'm not going to sit here and blame and say David Tepper he didn't make every pick. Let's be clear on this. David Tepper did not make every single pick. But when it comes to the quarterbacks, I firmly believe David Tepper's hands were all in the bucket. His hands was all in the pot when it came to the quarterbacks. And some of the bigger, maybe like the Christian McCaffrey deals, I believe David Tepper was all in the studio dancing. But for the draft picks, no, I completely get I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. The draft picks, not good, not very good. I mean, this last draft is probably going to go down as one of the worst. I mean, if Bryce Young does not pan out, this could go down as one of the worst drafts in Carolina Panther history, bro. Like if Bryce Young busts, this would be terrible. That would be one of the worst drafts ever. It would be one of the worst drafts ever in mankind. So, I feel like this was a good move. I got to give David Tepper some props. David Tepper does get some props from me because, one, listen, I'm going to bash David Tepper anytime there's something bad, but you also got to give him props. See, that's why I'm probably one of the most fair podcasters out here, is because I'm going to call it like I see it. When it's bad and when something goes wrong, I'm going to call it out. I don't have a narrative. Only narrative I have is that I want to see the Carolina Panthers win. That's my only narrative. That's my only narrative. There's only one narrative. That's to see my Carolina Panthers win. So I call it like I see it. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'll be wrong. But if it needs to be called out, I'm gonna call it out. But if you make a good move, I'm gonna give you props too. So I gotta give props to David Tepper for wiping the slate clean, and bringing in the firm to help him make a decision, right? That firm is going to help him, make the decision and make an informed decision, right? That firm has helped out the Eagles, the 49ers, the Rams, helped them with Charlotte FC with his most recent hiring. And so there's a lot there. I got to give him props. I got to give him props for wiping the slate clean. This is what needed to happen. We need to find some people that are going to make the decisions, based on the right moves, right? Bring in the right people, bring in some football people to make these decisions, because we can't just have David Tepper willy-nilly in making these moves. We've seen this fail. Every big decision he's made has failed, right? And so this is the great question. This is a great question. The game guy says, what if the new regime determines Bryce Young ain't it? Does David Tepper have it in him to move on? No, I don't. The game guy, this is a great question, and I don't think that new regime will be brought in if they don't think Bryce Young is it. And that's what's part of the problem with David Tepper and firing and making these moves right now, is because you've basically limited yourself to only getting guys that feel like that Bryce Young is the guy. Because we can say all we want to. Bryce Young isn't going nowhere. You can say what you want. If you don't believe, I believe in what why Big Jordan said. If you don't believe in Bryce, you're not coming here. Period. Now, to that, a lot of people did love Bryce Young coming into the draft, right? The college tape is the college tape. That college tape doesn't change, right? There's some bad NFL film that he's put out there. There's some good NFL film that Bryce Young has put out there. We need to find somebody that can build upon the good part. And there was a lot of teams that like Bryce Young, apparently, word on the street. A lot of teams liked Bryce Young in the draft process. So maybe there is a guy out there and a GM and a coach that's going to say, all right, I can work with this guy. He's got it. He just need to be coached properly. You know what I mean? So with the right scheme, with the right coaching, I feel like Bryce can be the guy. But, it's going to take a good coaching staff to come in here and get the best out of Bryce. Fix the footwork. Get the right play design, right? We got to get the right route concepts to get guys open. There's a lot. The offensive line needs to be fixed, right? We need to get the blocking schemes, the right run game. There's a lot that needs to be fixed. And listen, whoever comes in here, whoever comes to the Carolina Panthers, right, it is an uphill battle. It is an uphill battle, 1,000%, right? But if you fix this, boy, you will have ultimate clout if you come in here and fix what's been done in Carolinas. If you come in here and fix the problems with the Carolina Panthers, the clout you would have, bro, you would be the king of the Carolinas, bro. Because this is a tough job. This is coming in with Tepper, coming in and working with Tepper and working with Bryce Young. You got a uphill battle. This is not an easy job. A lot of the jobs out there, you look at the Chargers, you look at the Falcons job. I would argue that the Falcons job is more attractive, right? They've got some good talent that has been wasted, right? Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. They got a lot of good talent, a solid offensive line, but that job may be more attractive to coaches. You know what I mean? And the word on the street is that they got their eyes on Eric Bieniemy, right? And so we'll see what happens there, right? We'll see what happens. The LA job, the LA Chargers job. You got Justin Herbert. That people think that job is more attractive. So I think that, listen, if it was just about personnel and just coming in and fixing everything, this job would be attractive. But you got the dark cloud. You have the dark cloud and David Tepper hovering, right? And that is something that needs to be considered when coming for the Carolina Panthers. And I'm sure there's a lot of money that can be thrown out there to solve a lot of those issues, right? There's a lot of money that can be thrown out there. And we'll see, man. Listen, I consider today a W, right? Today it needed to be done, right? We want the clean slate. Everything. Listen, I understand the frustration. I understand the skepticism, right? I saw there was a guy on Twitter that replied to the post that I said, "Hey, listen, this is good. This is all positive." And he was like, "Yeah, but man, he's got to listen to and he just immediately went to. I called it negativity. He called it skepticism. You're absolutely right. You have every right to be skeptical because this coaching staff has done, this ownership has given you every reason to be skeptical. But listen, you got to take the small wins. You got to take the small wins, bro. These are good wins. Hiring the firm, right? That's a small win. Wiping the slate clean. That's a good win. These are good signs. Let's build on these small wins. If you're gonna be negative at every turn, everything that we do, and have a negative outlook or a skeptical outlook, bro, you being a disservice to yourself. You putting yourself, your mental game is gonna be off because everything we do, you look at in a negative light. Like, that's tough. Like, why would you do that? Right? I understand it. I understand being skeptical. I get it, bro. I get being skeptical. It's been terrible. I understand it. Nobody understands it like I understand. I get you. Step back. That's the movement. The march on men. That's the movement, right? That's the movement. I'm with y'all. I'm with y'all, bro. Like, I'm a fan with y'all. I'm frustrated too, but we gotta build on the small wins. We gotta take the small wins and turn them. And let's look at I was on Dave yesterday about that, bro. Let's look at the positive side of stuff sometimes, man. on the prowl. Like let's look at, like, I get it. I'm not one of these guys that's super positive and blah. Yeah, I'm not one of those guys either. I call it like I see it. There's a bunch of guys that see no wrong, right? I'm not one of those guys. There's some guys out there that everything that is happening is you can turn it into a positive. That's not me. I'm gonna call it like I see it. If there's some positive things happening, I'm gonna call it out, and I'm gonna be with it. And I get the frustration, I get the skepticism, I get all that. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. So real quick, let me is the helmet. Let me. No, I ain't gonna put it back up there yet, man. I threw it in frustration yesterday. Y'all see the missing helmet right there. The missing helmet that goes right there, man. That's the helmet that has all the coach signatures. So no, it ain't going up. It ain't going back up until we get a new coach. Until we get a new coach helmet, I ain't putting it back up. Nah, I ain't putting it back up until we get a new head coach and a new helmet and a new head coach helmet. I ain't putting it back up, bro. I ain't putting it back up. Hey, real quick, I gotta go to this athletic article put out by Joe Person. Let me pull it up because he talks about some of the candidates that are out there and some of the GM candidates. I mean, for me, the ultimate combination, if I had to call it right now, the greatest combination that you could put together for me that would fix everything for me. This is just for me. It's Ben Johnson, Ray Agnew, right? Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Lions, and Ray Agnew, the assistant GM for the Lions, right? They're together. They have a relationship. They know what it takes. They built a winner over there in Detroit. And if you can flip Detroit, bro, if you can go in and flip the Detroit, you can flip the Panthers. You can do a good job here, bro. If you can flip Detroit and put them in the playoffs, I need that. Detroit is one of the hard, bro. Detroit's been trashed for a long. Listen, we talk about how frustrating it is here, bro. Detroit, boy, they've been bad for a long time. And if you can flip that, I need that over here. Okay. So that's the best combination that I could put together right now. But let me go through the article that Joe Person wrote from The Athletic. Let me put it in the chat because I got to give some credit to Joe Person. Again, Joe Person does a fantastic job, and we always try to highlight some of our beat writers. They do a great job. And they put the pressure on. They put the pressure on David Tepper. You know what I mean? And they put his back against the wall, bro. And they try to make him answer to it. And shout out to Scott Fowler, Vashta, Sheena, my man Chris, all these guys, man, from Charlotte Vibe, like they do a great job. I got to give them their props. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. Again, we got our butts whipped yesterday, and now Fitterer has gotten the can. He was hired before the 2021 season. He went 14-37. That's a 0.27 win percentage. And that's the lowest win percentage over that span. Okay. None of his picks, none of his free agent signings have made the Pro Bowl. Nobody. That's crazy. Let me repeat that. None of Scott Fitterer's draft picks or free agent signings have made a Pro Bowl. Stephon Gilmore, when he came in, he wasn't alternate that year, but he did not make the Pro Bowl. He was an alternate. That's crazy. I did not realize that. Pretty bad. Well, yes, I did. I did know that. Let me stop. I didn't know that. All right. So, at the end of the day, Matt Rule over that span did have final say over 53-man roster. So you kind of got to put some. You don't know who was responsible for that, but they did collaborate. So you kind of got to attribute to him. Technically, it does fall under his regime. So, it is what it is there. Okay. So where do we go? Where do we go from here? Let's see. Where do we go from here? Let's talk about some of the candidates. Talk about some of the candidates that are out here. Okay. So as of going live right now, Dan Morgan is handling all personnel decisions for us. So Dan Morgan, who is the assistant GM, we don't know who will be retained. We don't know who will be, who's going to be elevated to the GM position. I'm sure Dan Morgan has to be a candidate, but we don't know. We don't know. But as of right now, Dan Morgan is heading up all personnel decisions. Okay. Last time we did interviews for GM, Tepper interviewed 15 candidates. 15 candidates. Some of those guys have since become GMs elsewhere. But one of the candidates that did interview, and we need to keep an eye on, is Kansas City Chiefs Vice President of Football Operations, Brant Tillis, who we talked about a lot at the time. We talked about him at the time. He's an analytics guy. We know Tepper loves analytics. He's a cap management guy. I know we have Samir Suleiman. We don't know the status of Samir Suleiman. Will he be kept around? You know what I mean? We don't know. We don't know any of what's going to happen there. Okay. So salary cap management, he's a roster guy. So Brant Tillis is a guy that we need to keep an eye on. He, again, coming from that Kansas City Chiefs, you never know. And he's also the vice president of football operations. That's a big time job, making football decisions. That's something we've asked for around here, is we need a football guy making football decisions. Okay. So we, again, Joe Person also goes to talk about the consulting firm, Sportsology. He helped the Falcons, 49ers, Rams, Eagles, a couple other teams as well. So got those guys back on track. All right. So, and he goes on to talk about Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson may be, the guy that David Tepper has his eye on. He talks about how Evero shares the agent with Ben Johnson. But who else? Who else should get interviewed for the head coaching job? So Joe Person goes on to write, Dan Quinn is going to be a hot candidate. He's doing a great job with that defense over with Dallas. Also, Dave Canellis, again, offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Bucks, 4,000 yards for the Bucks, for Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. So got to keep an eye on that. Obviously, Bill Belichick, that's something to keep an eye on as well. He's going to have a lot of opportunities. Who is he going to select? Same with Ben Johnson. He's going to have a lot of opportunities. So we'll see. We'll see. Frank Smith, offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. We talked about it a lot here. Texas offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick making a playoff appearance with the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud doing a great job over there, putting CJ in a great position to succeed. That's one, you really got to keep an eye on, because if he did magic with CJ, you got to wonder if he could do magic here. Again, if the weapons and the offensive line, the talent was elevated, I'm assuming he can do the same job here. Philadelphia's offensive coordinator Brian Johnson is a name that some folks don't like. They not looking so hot right now. But also Baltimore Ravens. Excuse me, I can't talk. Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator Mike McDonald. He's another name that's out there. Gerard Mayo, he's also out there. There's a couple of guys. So there's a couple of guys that that are looking to be a Kellen Moore, Mike Kafka. There's a lot of guys that are out there. A lot of guys that are out there that we could take a look at. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But whoever we bring in here, GM and head coach, that the first priority that needs to be brought in is the culture. We got to fix the culture. The culture needs to be fixed. Okay. We gotta fix the culture. And the part of the problem is that you're just trying to win. Like you're just trying to buy wins. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. Okay. We got to get right. And the culture is the first thing that we need to fix. So X's and O's are great. X's and O's are great. But we need to go out there and we need to fix the culture. Keep pounding. That needs to be brought back. So I keep seeing we need to bring in the GM first and let the GM pick the coach. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case, right? We've seen teams will go out there and successfully hire a GM first, a head coach first, and allow the head coach to pick the GM. As long as they have a relationship, I don't care. Like, as long as they have had a relationship and they had they've have some, they're on the same page. They're on the same page. That is what's important, right? Because if you go back to Shanahan and Lynch, Shanahan was hired first. Lynch was brought in afterward. Even with the Lions had Campbell first, and then the GM was brought in afterwards, and that's working fine. So you can skin. There's plenty of ways to skin a cat. Plenty of ways to skin a cat. So it doesn't have to go that way. But I could see it going either way. Works for me, as long as the guys are on the same page and they're thinking the same way and they can work together. That is what's most important. So yeah, we just talked about this. If the GM and head coach want their own quarterback, then that ain't gonna happen for another couple years. You got to at least work with Bryce, and David Tepper is not gonna hire you unless you can work with Bryce. During that interview process, if you can't work with Bryce and you don't have a pathway forward for fixing Bryce, you're not coming here. You're not coming here. Wilks ain't coming back here. I got some tea yesterday. I can't reveal my sources. I can't reveal my sources, bro. But I know somebody that's close to a family member of Steve Wilks. I could tell y'all right now that that's not happening, bro. Wilks is not coming back to Carolina. I could tell y'all that he's not coming back. Y'all need to let that go. I can't do it. But it ain't happening. I could tell y'all, and there needs to be some amends made before Wilks comes back to Carolina. Amends need to be made before Wilks comes back to Carolina. Y'all know, but y'all don't really know. You know, but you don't know. I could tell y'all, based off of what I know, talking to somebody yesterday about Wilks, and someone knows somebody close to Wilks, that ain't happening. It's not happening. Let that one rock, bro. Let that one rock. Some amends need to be made for sure. That situation didn't end well. Not good. Not good. But yeah, man. So I mean, that's where we stand. Listen, I'm happy that we cleaned the slate. I feel bad for Scott, to be honest with you. Tough situation to be in with your owner kind of making decisions, and it's not a good look. But it was the right move for the Carolina Panthers. The right move for Carolina Panthers. David Tepper, I think he's taking steps to step back. And listen, let me be clear. The step back movement does not stop. The step back movement does not stop. The shirts are still for sale. If you want a step back shirt, get one. The step back movement does not stop. We need to make sure that this continues. The hiring of the firm, listening to the firm, right? Listening to the fans, listening to and letting the football people make football decisions. That stuff needs to happen. The step back movement is here, bro. It ain't going nowhere. We will continue. We will continue to let our voices be heard. Everybody got on me with March on Mint. Everybody, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work, bro. I also got word that I told y'all yesterday that the Jumbotron, our shirt got put on the Jumbotron yesterday like 5 or 6 times. Word on the street, the camera folks were told not to put that shirt back up on the Jumbotron. Don't let these people, don't let anybody tell, nobody can diminish the voice, bro. The voice is the voice. He knows we out here. He knows we out here. Okay? So the pressure, we will continue to apply the pressure, bro. He ain't gotta like it. Listen, we don't want to complain. Tepper, we want to call you. We want to call you the greatest owner of all time. If Tepper's listening, right? This is the message to Tepper. We want to make sure we want to hype you up. We want to give you props. We want to cheer. We want a victory lap with you, bro. If you put together and make this a Super Bowl winning team, you will get all the props in the world. We don't want to complain. We don't want to get up here. We don't want to print shirts with step back on it. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to talk ish to other teams in NFC South, and we want to go out there and celebrate. Bro, I saw a clip of Antonio Pierce walking off of the field yesterday. And that crowd in LA, bro, it was lit. I want to go back to that, man. I want to go back to high-fiving in the stands. I want to go back to that 2015 feeling. When I felt the stadium shake. I felt the stadium shake, bro, because we were going to the Super Bowl. That's what we want back in Carolina, bro. We want to cheer, fam. You know what I mean? So we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do to get back to that. And Tep, it's no hard feelings, but we got to keep it real, man. We not gonna pat your back just because you want us to. Like you understand, we gotta hold you accountable, bro. We gotta hold you accountable, man. So you might not like it. You might not like what we do, but accountability is a thing. And if ain't nobody else gonna hold you accountable in that building, the Panther Nation is going to. The fans are going to. So you got to step back, bro. Step back shirt made the jumbotron at least 5 times. And at one point, I think it was after halftime, I didn't see it again. So the word got up to the jumbotron folk. Don't put that shirt up there no more. Don't do that. So he see us, bro. He see us. He feel the pressure's real, bro. Never let anybody diminish your voice. Yo, people can't diminish the voice. People try to get on me about March on Mint and all that. Bro, I won't tune it out, bro. Tune it out. And we kept moving. So to the folks that say, okay, so this is a lot of people feel this way. Okay, Ian's Fish Room. A lot of people feel this way. He says, I'm okay with firing Fit, but I think it will make no noticeable difference. Bro, I completely get you, bro. I get you. I completely understand. I understand. But things are different now. I could tell you things are different. Why? Because this is the first offseason that we are going to have a GM and a head coach brought in at the same time. And Tepper's using a hiring firm. Right? So things are going to be different. If hopefully, like we're hopeful that Tepper will listen to the hiring firm and they will make the right decision. Right? Hopefully they make the right decision. And I'm hopeful that, the football people, when brought in, will be allowed to make the football decisions. Like Tepper will take the ultimate step back and allow the GM and the coach to cook, right, without Tepper's input. You can inform them. Cool. Hey, Tep, this is what we doing. This is why we doing it. Trust us. Trust us. Trust us. That's what needs to be said from the new head coach and GM that are brought in. Tep, hey, we see what you did with them other dudes. We not playing that, bro. We not gonna allow you to make decisions. That's the reason why things failed, right? I remember, if you go back and I keep bringing this up. My apologies for those that have heard me say this 1,000 times. But if you go back and read what Shanahan told Jed York when he went to that office, he kept it a buck with him. This is why things are the way they are. You got this ain't gonna go. This ain't gonna go moving forward. What you did back then ain't gonna work now with me at the helm. Somebody has to go into that office, drop their nuts on the table, pause, and say, yo, hey, Tep, I respect it. You a billionaire, but you got to trust me. You got to allow me and the GM, we're football people, allow us allow us to make the right decisions that we deem necessary to put this team in a position to win. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. All right. So let's quickly let me go to Adam Schefter and see what else is happening. In the meantime, we got a couple more minutes on the morning huddle. Obviously, we're talking about Ron Rivera, and I feel bad for Ron Rivera, another guy that got shafted. Pause. Working with all these different, he's working with two different owners, and this is the second time he's gotten the ownership changed, and different things happen with that, and it's just bad, man. Bad things happen for Ron Rivera. And I believe Ron is a great coach, but I think his head coaching days are over with. I don't think he'll get another head coach job again with all the teams going to offensive guys. Well, the bulk of the teams, not all the teams. A lot of teams are going to offensive guys. We'll see. We'll see what happens with Ron Rivera. I do think he can be a defensive coordinator. I think his defense players love playing for Rivera, so I do think it'll be a great thing there. Okay, so shout out to my man Carlo. Just shot me a text, and we're live, pal. So just bear with me. It's a lot happening right now. It's Black Monday. It's a lot of news. So shout out to Carlo. Just sent me a text, and the text reads, "This is from Joe Person. As Panthers owner David Tepper prepares to hire a head coach and GM, he could consider adding a third position, a senior vice president for football operations, to serve as a buffer between him and the head coach and GM." That is exactly what we need to hear. I count that as another W, because that is a step back. That's helping Tepper step back, step off, right? It goes to what I was just saying. That goes to what I was just saying. Football operation. Could it be Cam? I don't know. Could it be Cam? I don't know. We'll see. But it needs to be somebody to say, all right, let them cook. They doing the right thing. They're football people. They know what they're doing. Tep, hey, step back, bro. We got this. So this is all good things. These are all good things. And yes, if that happens, that would be growth for Tepper. And that's another W. You got to give props where props are due. This is all things. And listen, exactly. You can't tell me Tep don't be watching PMP. These are all things I've been saying. We've been saying this. These are all things we've been saying, bro. We've been saying a president of football operations, you got to fall back. You got to hire, get a hiring firm, somebody to help you. Everything that we've said, you've got to fire Scott Fitterer. Everything that we've said has happened. So we'll see. It's a long off season, but absolutely having fantastic. It would be all great stuff. That's funny. Shit, man. Maybe PMP was right. Maybe, I don't know. All good things, but I'm happy. These are good signs. These are good signs, man. These are good signs. All good signs. So real quick, let's go back to talking about the Commanders again. They're hiring two prominent executives as well. So they hired General Manager Bob Myers and ex-Minnesota Vikings GM Rick Spielman to assist the ownership group. What a great move to do. Seems like common sense. That's something Tepper should have did off the rip. These are not football people making smart football decisions with the Commanders. So the Commanders, that's how things should have been done. You bring in two football people to assist you with making those decisions. That's a great move. Great move. So that group is helping them to search for a new head coach, a new head of football operations, and a coach. So that's smart. That's just smart stuff, man. It's common sense. Common sense. And Bob Myers is a former Warriors GM, so that's interesting. That's an interesting perspective. He brought in a basketball guy to kind of help out. Maybe it's a culture, trying to bring in some culture. I don't know. That's interesting. Interesting decision. Interesting decision. Interesting decision. All right. So shout out to Jordan. He says, Shot, in your opinion, how long will it be before we're successful again? Assuming that Tepper doesn't continue to meddle. I think 2025 is going to be the year. I'm going to be frank that 2025 is the year that we make a real legit push if everything goes well. That's if everything goes well, right? That's if Bryce starts to pan out, if we get some weapons, we fix the offensive line. Because 2025 is a year where a lot of bad contracts roll off, a lot of money frees up, and if we can hit the draft, if we can hit this next draft and bring in some talented guys, and they can make solid contributions, 2025 is going to be that year because we get the first round pick. I think 2025 is going to be the year. 2024, building year. I look at 2024. If all goes well, we hire the right guy. Again, this is all best case scenarios. I think we may be like a 7-9 team, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. If everything goes well and we become a 7-9 team, I'll take that. That's progression. 2025 is where I see us being super successful. I'm making a not Super Bowl, but I think a legit playoff push happens in 2025. All right, let me go back. I missed a bunch of super chats. Let me go back to this first one, Jordan. My bad, I missed your first one. And so it begins. Never been more hype for a season. Sad. Thanks for all your hard work this season, PMP. Man, shout out to Jordan, man. I appreciate you, bro. So I got that one already. Let's get the GM from the 49ers. John Lynch. Are you talking about the assistant GM? The assistant GM for the 49ers was likely to get a promotion, so I don't know if we'll be able to get him or not. But John Lynch ain't going nowhere. I got that one already. And at least he wasn't fired mid-season. I think he's talking about Ron Rivera there. Ms. Rand, what do you think about the schedule next year? Pretty tough. Yeah, it is tough. It is tough. But hopefully everything around, hopefully we make it tougher too. Like hopefully we improve. We got to improve. We got to improve, man. We got to improve. But we'll see, man. It is tough though. That schedule is brutal. It's brutal. I think NFC East is up there. I don't know. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull it up. It is brutal schedule on paper, but things happen. Teams get better. Some teams get worse. It is what it is. It is what it is. Oh, Cowboys are coming back again. Jeez. So here we is. Here it is. Excuse me. Home, we got the Falcons, Saints, Bucks as usual. We got the Giants, Cowboys again, Cardinals, Kansas City, which is probably going to be the Germany game. The Chargers and Bengals. Ooh, that's tough. That's a brutal home slate. Then away, we have the 49ers. We have the Falcons, Saints, Bucks again, as usual. Eagles, Commanders, Bears, Broncos, and Raiders. Yeah, that's pretty tough. That's pretty tough. It's a tough schedule. Tough schedule. We'll see. We'll see, man. Yeah, I see y'all. I'm going to Vegas on a weekend. Well, no, it'll be the summertime when I'm going. I was gonna say, man, I would love to go back to Vegas if that went down. So we'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see. But I really like what the Carolina Panthers are doing so far. Again, 3 solid potential moves are on the horizon, right? We fired Scott Fitterer. That was a great step, right? It wipes the slate clean, right? We get to bring in the GM and the head coach at the same time. That allows this new firm that David Tepper has hired and brought in to assist him with the hiring of the new head coach and GM, right? It allows them to work with a clean slate, right? So that's positive. And then word on the street, according to Joe Person, is that he might bring in a vice president of football operations. Cam for president. He's been throwing his name in the hat for that, and we'll see what happens. All positive things are happening on Black Monday for the Carolina Panthers. So it's good stuff. Good stuff. Chris Mack, shout out to Chris Mack. Chris Mack says, the good thing about the tough schedule, we can see how Bryce does going up against the best of the best. Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. They also helped the Eagles as well and Falcons. They've helped a lot of teams. They helped a lot of teams, and it's not just about. Now. Let's talk about what Sportsology does, because it's not just about assistance with hiring of the head coach and GM. It's all about fixing the processes, right? Fixing the process and the culture, right? How are your decisions being made? How are your decisions being made? That's part of what this firm does as well, helping with fixing your processes. Once you get your processes fixed, things start to get a little bit better, right? If you're process oriented, as David Tepper is, if we can implement some processes that make things better, helps the decision tree, then we start to see some better things. So it's not just about hiring and firing of the GM. It's not the hiring of the GM and coach. It's not just about that. All right. Who's a better fit? Harbaugh or Belichick? Harbaugh for me. Give me Harbaugh. Pause. We going to Germany PMP trip? Absolutely, we're going. I'm absolutely 1,000% going to Germany. And shout out to my folks in Germany. We are going to do a PMP live out there too. I've got to get in contact with some folks over in Germany to make this happen. If you're in Germany, hit me up at Panther Nation _P. Panther Nation _PC on Instagram, or Panther Nation PC on X. Hit me up. Let's make this thing happen so we can. As soon as that the information is announced, we're heading over there to Germany. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great, man. It's gonna be good stuff. Good stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta shut this stuff down, man. This was great stuff. Again, headed in the right direction. Let's build upon this. Let's see what happens. But all good things. All good things. All right. So with that said, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna shut this morning huddle down. We had 600 people in the building. Hit that like button on the way out. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the sub button. We'll holler at y'all. I'm out. Peace.